The 12 Hunters. A certain king's son, unknown to his father, was betrothed to a maiden whom he loved very much, and once while he was sitting by her side, happy and contented, news came that his father was very ill, and desired to see him before his end. So the prince said to his beloved, "I must go away and leave you. I will give you this ring for a memorial. When I become king, I will return and take you home with me." So saying, he rode off, and when he arrived, he found his father at the point of death. The old king said to him, "My dearest son, I have desired to see you once more before I died, that I may have your promise to marry according to my wishes." And he named to him a certain princess, whom he was to make his bride. The young king was so grieved that he did not know what he was saying, and so promised his father that he would fulfill his wish. Soon afterwards, the old king closed his eyes in death. When the time of mourning for the late king was over, the young prince who had succeeded to the throne was called upon to fulfill the promise which he had given to his father, and the princess was betrothed to him accordingly. By chance the maiden heard of this, and grieved so much about the faithlessness of her beloved that she fast faded away. Then her father said to her, "My dear child, why are you sad? Whatever you wish for you shall have." For a few minutes she considered, and at last said, "Dear father, I wish for 11 maidens exactly like myself in figure and stature." Her father told her that if it were possible, her wish should be carried out, and he ordered a search to be made in his country until 11 maidens were found resembling exactly his daughter in figure and stature. When they came to the maiden, she had 12 hunters' dresses made all exactly alike, and each of the maidens had to put on one while she herself drew on the 12th. Thereupon she took leave of her father and rode away with her companions to the court of her former betrothed, whom she loved so much. There she inquired if he needed any huntsmen, and if he would not take them all into his service. The king looked at her without recognizing her, and, as they were such handsome people, he consented to take them, and so they became the 12 royal huntsmen. The king, however, possessed a lion, who was such a wonderful beast that he knew all hidden and secret affairs. So one evening he said to the king, "Do you suppose that you have got 12 huntsmen?" "Yes," replied he, 12 huntsmen." "You are mistaken there," replied the lion. "They are 12 maidens." "That can never be true," said the king. "How will you prove it to me?" "Order some peas to be strewn in your anteroom," said the lion, "and you will at once see, for men have a firm tread when walking on peas and do not slip, but maidens trip and stumble and slide and make the peas roll about." This advice pleased the king, and he ordered peas to be strewn. Now there was a servant of the king's who was kind to the huntsmen, and as he heard that they were to be put to this trial, he went and told them all that had passed, and that the lion wished to show the king that they were maidens. The maiden thanked him, and told her companions to compel themselves to tread firmly on the peas. When therefore the next morning the king summoned the 12 hunters, and they came into the anteroom, they trod firmly upon the peas with so sturdy a step that not one rolled or moved in the least. Afterwards, when they had left the room, the king said to the lion, "You have deceived me. They walk like men." The lion replied, "They knew that they were to be put to the proof, and so summoned all their strength. Let 12 spinning wheels be now brought into the anteroom, and when they come to pass them, they will be pleased at the sight thereof, as no man would be." This advice also pleased the king, and he caused the 12 spinning wheels to be placed in the room. But the servant who was kind to the hunters went and disclosed the plan to the maiden, who instructed her 11 attendants to take no notice whatever of the spinning wheels. The following morning the king summoned his hunters, and they passed through the anteroom without once looking round at the spinning wheels. So the king said to the lion again, "You have deceived me. These are men, for they have not noticed the wheels." The lion replied as before, "They knew that they should be put on trial, and they have behaved accordingly." But the king would believe the lion no more. After this, the 12 hunters followed the king customarily in his sporting, and the longer he had them, the more he seemed to like them. Now it happened that once as they were going out to the hunt, news came that the princess who had been betrothed to the young king was on her way to his court. As soon as the true betrothed heard this, she was so much overcome that all her strength forsook her, and she fell heavily to the ground. The king soon perceived that something had happened to his best huntsman, and ran up to help him just as his glove was drawn off. He then saw upon one finger the ring which he had given to his first love, and as he looked in the face of the supposed huntsman, he recognized her. At this sight his heart was so touched that he kissed her, and as she opened her eyes, he said, "You are mine, and I am thine, and no power on earth shall make it otherwise." The king then sent a messenger to the princess, begging her to return to her own country, for he had already a bride. Soon afterwards the wedding was celebrated, and the lion came again into favor, because, after all, he had spoken the truth.